Hello all, welcome to this first class on development of lateral surfaces of solids. And in this first class, let's solve this problem number 1. That is, a square prism of base side 30 mm and axis length 60 mm is resting on HP on its base with all the vertical faces being equally inclined to VP. Full stop. It is cut by an inclined plane 60 degrees to HP and perpendicular to VP, and is passing through a point on the axis at a distance of 50 mm from the base. Full stop. Draw the development of the lower portion of the prism. Okay, here you will have to do the development of development of a square prism. The lateral surfaces of all this, the square prism. So in a square prism, the top and base is of a square shape and all the lateral surfaces are of rectangular shape. So now let's try to do this problem. So first thing what we'll have to do it is draw this top and front view of this square prism. So the first thing what you'll be doing is just draw an XY line, just draw a partial XY line. That's because in the right hand side will be doing the development. So just name this X and Y, and here you would name it VPHP. So VPHP, and here you can try to draw the, let's try to draw the square prism now. So use visible line. So see that the dimensions are there. They're telling the base side is 30 mm. So 30 length, and okay, first not just line, select rectangle, give the width as 30, enter, height as 30, enter, and see that the angle. So here they have not mentioned whether it is resting on its corner or edge, but you can just see the question is given like with all its vertical faces being equally inclined to VP. When they're telling equally inclined, if it's resting on edge, it will not be equally inclined. But if it's resting on its corner, you can say that all its vertical surfaces will be equally inclined at like about 45 degrees. So it has to be a corner condition. So for corner condition, you will have to give the angle as 45 degrees. So enter and just place your square prism here. So that is enough. So let's try to name that square prism. So let's try to name it here. Switch off the caps and let's try to name only the top face. That is enough, because here no, not both, both may not be required. So let's try to name this A, or if you want, even you can name A1 if you it's desirable, but you can just live out with just the top face. So A, B, C and D. Okay, now let's try to draw the projections. Use normal line to draw the projections. So let's try to use normal line. And the next thing what you'll have to do it is see from here, let's try to use using a normal line itself, let's try to draw the top view also, because only the lower portion will be made using visible line. So other portions will all be done with the normal line only. So first let's draw using normal line itself. Let's not use any center lines, visible line and all. So they're telling the axis length is 60 degrees. So from this center, let me give the axis length as 60, enter. Okay, so then what you can do is using normal line, let me try to draw a line such that it is equally 60. That is, let me try to draw its front view. Okay, so now they are telling there is a cutting plane. It's cut by an inclined plane 60 degrees to VP and is perpendicular to VP. And they're telling it is perpendicular to VP and is passing through a point on the axis at a distance of 50 mm from the base. So this is the axis line, this midline is the axis line, and they're telling at a distance of 50 mm from the base, the cutting plane is passing. So what you can do is let's try to draw a line. So let's try to draw a line at somewhere about on the axis line itself. Let's try to draw a horizontal line, and now let's try to measure its distance such that the distance between that and that has to be somewhere about 50 mm. So here you can just see it is mentioned. Here you can just see, here it is not, it may not be correct. Here if you just look at it is 48.8. So enter it as 50. So just enter. So now you can try to delete this. Here it is not shown correctly, but here I think isometric dimensions are shown, but you can try to do it while you're doing in the exams. So that if you can try to do it, you will get it correctly. But here you can just see this box, it is mentioned correctly. Okay, now so this is so this line is at 50 mm actually. So this line is at 50 mm from its base. So you can just see that is at 50 mm. Yes, that's right. So that is at 50 mm from its base. Now let me try to draw a cutting plane into it. So you can just go to cutting plane, and you can also try to select the type of line you want. So let's try to select this line, because here it's already the type of line that is selected here is a hidden line. So let's try to select some other line. Let's try to select this line or something. So exactly passing through this line, let's try to zoom that line and see that. Let's try to draw a line such that it passes through this line, and let's give that angle as 60 degrees, because it is mentioned already in the question. It's 60 degrees. So 60 degrees, let's give any angle, that is okay. So now what you can do is okay, let's try to zoom out. So let's try to fit, and now let me try to extend that line using this extend to next option. So let me try to so let's try to zoom that and try to extend. You may get it. So go to extend to next, else if you are okay. So you're getting this fine. So we have just extended that line, and even you can try to show the dimensions if required, else you can leave it also. So now you can see, and the cutting plane is cutting the front view like this. Before that, even let's try to do this naming also. So this will be A dash, and this will be B dash, and in the brackets let's mention D dash, and this will be C dash. So let's try to use move, and so let's try to use this. Okay, so now we have done that. So the next thing what you will have to do it is see that this cutting plane is cutting the front view, I mean this square prism at A dash, B dash, D dash and C dash. So when the cutting plane is cutting the, what is it, the front view or the prism at A dash, let's try to name that point as 1. So it is cutting A dash at 1. So let me try to name that as 1. It is trying to cut B dash at 2. So let me name this 2. So it is trying to cut B dash at 2. So that let me try to name that 2. So similarly, it is trying to cut somewhere here, which is between B dash and C dash. So between B dash and D dash, in the sense, let me try to name that 3. And it is also cutting between D dash and C dash, or C dash and D dash. So let me try to name that 4, and it is cutting at D dash, so separately, so that will be 5. So now what I can do, I can just move those points and place it appropriately in some position. So it is cutting A dash at 1, B dash at 2, between B dash and C dash at 3. So let me place it there, or let me place it somewhere over here on the line itself, and or a little bit here we will try to place it, and between the D dash and C dash at 4, and at D dash at 5. So now we have named all those 5 points. So it is very important that instead of naming 1, let's try to name it 1 dash, because 1 and 1 dash will have a difference. So let's try to name that 1 dash, in fact not 1. So see that everything, because as we are naming it in the front view, see that you try to name it as 1 dash instead of 1. So that is very important. So 1 dash should be appropriate. So similarly, even this will be 2 dash, or else let's try to delete, and let's try to name it. So let's try to delete this. So I have deleted it. Let's try to name those points again. So see that let me try to name when it cuts B dash, let's try to name that 2 dash. Similarly, when it cuts between B dash and C dash, let me try to name that as 3 dash. And between D dash and C dash, let me try to name it as 4 dash. And at D dash, let me try to name it as 5 dash. So using this move option, let's try to place that correctly. So this will be 1 dash. So this will be 2 dash. This will be 3 dash, this will be 4 dash, and this will be 5 dash. So that is fine. So similarly, when it cuts in the top view, so it is trying to cut at A. So that point will, if it is 1 dash in the front view, in the top view it's going to be 1. Okay. So 1, and at B, let's try to extend this line using extend to next. You can try to extend this line. So okay, So at B, let's try to name that as 2. So you can just see here between B and C, let's try to name that as 3. So let's try to extend that line also using this normal line. Let's try to extend that line using a normal line. So it is cutting here exactly at between B and C at 3 dash. So let me try to extend that line and place it till here. So between B and C it is going to be 3 at 3, and between C and D it is going to be at 4, and at D is going to be at 5. So 1. So let me try to name everything. Let me try to move everything and place it correctly. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So these are all the points, and now now we have just named all those points. So now let's try to draw the development. So see that we also indicate all the dimensions as well. So let's try to delete this unnecessary line. Even let's try. Let's try to delete this unnecessary line. This may not be required. Okay. Before that, even see this lower portion has to be made visible. So using this line and a visible line, what we will try to let's try to make this one visual. I mean, with the lower portion of this cutting plane, let's try to make that visible. So wherever this cutting plane is there, let's try to make that lower portion visible. Okay, so that lower portion we have made it visible now. Now let's try to what to say is let's try to make this on the right hand side. Let's try to use draw the development. So that is very important. So now let's try to do that. Okay, so now let's try to do the development on the right hand side. So let's try to zoom this. So something corresponding to this, let me draw a line and let me draw development. So development of lateral surfaces. So for a prism, it is obviously of rectangular shape. So what we'll try to do is, starting from here. So rectangles dimensions are like, okay, let's use this line itself. Rectangle using a normal line itself. Let's draw initially. So it's rectangles dimensions here are nothing but 30 cross 40, because the base will be 30, the square prism's shape itself, and that height is 40. So it's given actually. So let's try to give the base as 30. So let me try to draw a rectangle. So what we can do is let's try to mirror that. So as there are 5 points here, 1 dash, 2 dash, 3 dash, 4 dash, 5 dash. So let's try to draw 4 rectangles. So for 5 points, so using this mirror option, you can try to draw 4 rectangles. So 4 rectangles will be fine. So when you draw 4 rectangles, you will get it correctly. So see that, let's try to name all those points. So now using here, so let me name, let me switch on the cap. So this will be A, this will be B. You have points A, B, C, D, right? So A, B, C, D, and this will be A. So A, B, C, D, and A. So now let me try to name it. Let me try to draw using normal lines. So let me try to draw the horizontal projector lines. So from 1 dash, it is at A dash. So or at A, or I can just say 1 is at A. So let me try to draw a horizontal line till A. So A is here till here, and A is still here also. So let me try to draw it till there. Now 2 and B. So 2 dash is at B dash, or 2 is at B. So 2 is at B in the sense. So 2 to B. So 2 to B. Let me try to draw it till here. And between B and C, there is something called 3 dash or something. 3, let's say. So between B and C, there is 3. So let me try to even name these points as well. So you can just see 1 is here. So this is 1. And similarly even this will be 1, okay, and this will be 2. So that is 1 and that is 2. So between B and C you have 3. So between B and C you have 3. So what you have to do it, you need this dimension. You can just see here in the top view. So this square prism side will obviously be 30 mm. But only between this B and 3 you have this point called 2. I mean, between B and C, I mean, you have this, so that is very, very important. So between this B and C, you have this point 3, not between, not this 2. Between B and C, you have 3, and between C and D, you have that 4 that you know well. So you need this B3 and D4, that distance. So if you use smart dimensioning at a time, if you try to measure this, you will not get, you will get the entire set. So what you can do is you can use this split option. So that will work out well. So click this line and click at 3, and similarly click this line and click at 4. So now you would have got the separate dimensions for this and that. So B to 3, so that is found to be 8.11. So don't find this, because here isometric dimensions from the last problem it is getting mentioned, but don't get confused there. So you can just see here in this table, here in this table you can just see. So it is found to be 8.11 or 8.111, and similarly this one is 8.33. Okay, now let me try to delete these dimensions. So 8.33 and 8.11. So 8.11 and 8.33. That is what are the answers. So, but in the while you are doing in the exams, see that you know you switch off this isometric dimensions and all, and try to do it. You will get it correctly. So now between B and C, let's try to draw 8.11. So let me try to zoom that, and let me try to draw that 8.11. So between B and C, let me try to draw it 8.11. So let me try to draw an arc. And similarly, now if you look at between C and D, you can just see between, I can, instead of saying between C and D, I can also say between D and C. That is, from D to C, the dimensions are between, like, it's like 8.33. So what I have to do it is zoom that, and from D, try to make the dimensions 8.33. So 8.33. Okay, what I can do is go to arc by center point, place at D, and see that the dimensions are 8.33. So just draw an arc again. So now we have just named almost all the points. So now you can try to zoom that again. So see that already we have named 2 points, 1, 2, and between B and C, we know what is that point. That point is 3. Between C and D, we know that point, that is 4, and you can just see 5. That point is at D. So that point you will have to extend that till D. So you can use this extend to next. So that point you can try to extend till D, and that point is 5. So now you can use this move option and try to place these points correctly. So this one is point 1. This one is point 2. Let me try to place these points correctly, so that there is no any confusions. See that you try to place all these points correctly. So between B and C, this one is point 3. This is point C, and between C and D, this one is point 4, and this is point 5. So now let's try to join all these points, so using a visible line. So from here, let's try to start. Let's think this as a base. So from that base to 1, 1 to this is 2, 2 to this is 3, 3 to this is 4. Oh, let's try to zoom that. So because that doesn't seem to look so correct. Okay. So here you can see this is not joined correctly. So see that you are trying to zoom it and try to draw it. You would get it much better. So see that you are trying to zoom that. So use a visible line. So now from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. Okay, I mean this one sometimes it might create some issues. See that you try to zoom it correctly and try to draw it. You can even, let's try to even zoom it, and then so now what we'll do is let's try to zoom that. So let's try to zoom only this particular area. So you can zoom like this and try to draw. And finally from there to 5, 5 to 1. So again, so after drawing from 5 to 1, see that you are just trying to complete it 1 to the base again, and it starts and it ends here again. And below this, each point, let's try to make that also visible. So this one is going to be visible even below those points. Everything we are going to make it visible. So I mean, now I think we have completed all. So before, so this is this is the development. So you can even type it here that this is the development of the square prism. So development. Okay. So that ends the problem. You can just. I hope you understood this. Thank you.